I'm really liking it so far. I mean, I think it's like the perfect blend of taking the familiarity of Clutch and kind of having like a new environment with some new pieces. I think just like the atmosphere is just a lot more positive, and it feels more just like we have like an office setting, and we have like a lot of people who work for the org kind of hanging around, and it just feels like very secure, being able to like go to work every day.
Hey everybody, Parks Owza here with the Shotcaller, joined by Echo Fox's Toplaner, Solo. You guys lost the game. You played really well though, so we'll focus on that a little bit. So yeah, let's just go straight into that. The top dive, first play, you get first blood and third blood. Yeah. You get a double kill. What did you think about the game? Do you feel like you had to carry? Obviously you guys didn't win, but just what are your thoughts about the game?
Yeah, going into the game, they seemed really confident playing Irelia. And I know this guy is an insane Irelia player, so I was like expecting, I was kind of like giving him a lot of respect in lane, and I think he was doing pretty similar. But yeah, Nocturne tried to gank me. Luckily, Irelia missed ulti, and I guess they just really wanted to get the play off. I thought it was really ambitious to dive me, so I was surprised, and they kind of paid for it. So I guess I did well, but it seemed like they were just a little bit overeager. And then as far as the game went, I mean, it was a tough loss because it felt like we were just really close to getting that kind of like knockout punch. And I'm sure they felt similar like to just taking over the game. And we like just botched a couple, like dragon fights. And then a couple team fights were just really close. And it was just kind of difficult for us to get that one like big team fight to get us the lead. So a really tough game. I mean, they played well. I was definitely impressed. There was like a lot of back and forth. So it kind of feels bad for me because I mean people tell me I play well, but I like it doesn't really matter unless we win,
Yeah, that's fair. And it did look like they were a much improved team from last week.
Yeah.
I would say the same for you guys, but it seemed like they were more of a like cohesive unit, like a single unit. What do you think is kind of something that you need to work on, like maybe communication-wise or synergy-wise? Like, are there things that you guys like know are missing?
A little bit. I mean, there is some, a little bit of cohesion and synergy that we're trying to build upon. A big thing is just being able to like adapt to a game plan. That game especially wasn't like going our way, and we were having some trouble dealing with like the Nocturne Darkness and like the Lissandra stalling. So we were trying to do a good job of like finding a way to win, but it was just really hard for us to kind of get that angle, and we didn't adapt well enough to what they were trying to do. So, hopefully we can build that kind of like trust and synergy and kind of recover from situations that are difficult.
Yeah, there were a lot of really close fights.
Yeah.
It made for a really exciting game. It kind of went into this day, and there were a lot of 2-0 teams fighting 0-2 teams. Mm-hmm. It's like this could be either really boring, or we could see a lot of teams like step up and do really well. I kind of thought that this one had the most potential anyway. Mm-hmm. And it was really fun, so thank you for that.
It was kind of refreshing to play TSM and not just play like some kind of like really slow methodical game, because every time we played them on Clutch, it was very like slow pace, like everyone's just kind of farming. It's a 2-1 kill game. But this one was like, I felt like it was actually like a banger, and everyone was down to fight over objectives, so it was an enjoyable game to play. Yeah,
props to them for maybe kind of figuring out, what are we going to do in the mid lane?
Yeah, they played really well.
Or in the mid game. So let's talk about the top lane opponent then. Since he's new, how did it feel kind of playing against him? Obviously we've only seen 3 games from him, but you've gotten to actually play against him.
Yeah.
And on top of that, how do you feel like the rest of the top lane talent is? And where would you kind of put yourself in there?
I mean, Broken played, I think he played okay. I think, obviously they made a couple mistakes, and then I got some kills and stuff, and then it was hard for him to really do much. I think he's a talented guy. I think just like a lot of, like newer LCS players, there are like a lot of stage nerves. So starting the game out, you can kind of tell when people are nervous and they're kind of just trying to like farm, right? like a lot of people, it's just like they're trying to farm. They're just trying to like make it through the first few levels because they have a lot of stage jitters. and that's what kind of lets like veterans like Impact, and even like surprisingly Licorice doesn't really play like he has stage nerves. I don't know if he does, but he's just like very confident guy. So like he has a very like veteran play to him. Both those guys, like, you never really feel like they're nervous, and you never really feel like they're playing different than they do in scrims. Where a lot of, I wouldn't say they're like bottom tier top laners, but a lot of top laners play different in scrims because they're just like not nervous and they don't really care so much about maybe like dying or like taking a bad trade. But those two especially, I've always felt were like really confident in their play when they are on stage.
That's interesting. And what do you feel about Someday? Obviously, you haven't played him yet, but we haven't seen super great like Someday characteristic performances from him. Do you feel like top lane is maybe shifting and we'll have to reevaluate, the whole tier list this year?
We'll see. I mean, I haven't had the most experience playing Someday this split, but he was super solid last split, obviously. It's funny, last split, the first game I played him, I thought he was playing like pretty scared, and then the second game I got shit on, so so like maybe my interpretation of how he was playing was wrong, but yeah, I mean, Sunday's up there. I mean, he's like, I think sometimes it can feel like he's playing nervous, but a lot of the times it's just because he's like very methodical and he doesn't like making risky plays in lane. Like laning phase for him is just about not like, giving the other team like a huge chance to like take over your lane or make a big play on you. So he's kind of very calculated. But we'll see. I don't think he's like struggling or anything. I think like the first couple of games he played pretty hard matchups, and it's difficult to win when your team's like not necessarily doing super great. So I wouldn't count him out on anything. It's like a bad week isn't really anything to me. So
yeah. So I want to talk some about your team. The switch over. Obviously, you have a bunch of the same teammates.
Yeah.
But how's it been kind of, in a new environment? You've got new coaches, 2 new teammates. How has that transition been for you?
I'm really liking it so far. I mean, I think it's like the perfect blend of taking the familiarity of Clutch and kind of having like a new environment with some new pieces. I think just like the atmosphere is just a lot more positive, and it feels more, just like we have like an office setting, and we have like a lot of people who work for the org kind of hanging around, and it just feels like very secure, being able to like go to work every day and, going home afterwards, and just like having a very normal routine. It just kind of lets you get in the flow of things a lot easier than being like in a house the whole entire time, and just like your desk is pretty much where you eat and sleep, and like you just pretty much stay in the house all the time. And then like Rush and Phoenix they're like super close friends, and they're like really funny guys. And I played with Phoenix before. He's like a great teammate and great guy. So they're really funny and fun to hang out with. And obviously like Apollo, Nick, and I have our own kind of like humor and stuff. So it's a good balance. And I think Coach Song is like really, really good at just identifying things in game that are the important things, and just kind of brushing over things that don't matter and letting us play.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I'll ask about Coach Song in a second. Okay. You touched a little on the atmosphere, and I know you probably saw there was an interview recently with Hakuo by Esports Heaven, and that made its way to Reddit, as it always does, and Reddit is kind of in an uproar over a quote that he gave. Yeah. He's talking about last year on Clutch, obviously, when things start to go south, people get frustrated or whatever, and he used the term mental breakdown, and was talking about, during scrims, someone was having a mental breakdown, often maybe. And I feel like, maybe that was just talking whatever, not really thinking about it. But I'm kind of curious, do you have any kind of thoughts about that? Do you want to maybe explain some of that maybe for the Redditors who are furious?
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll love it coming from me, but I mean, I think mental breakdown was probably a little bit sensationalized. Obviously, the environment. I mean, if you read the actual interview instead of the headline, like you'll get a little bit more context. But I guess to put it more plainly, like yes, the environment wasn't great, and yes, there was like a lot of frustration between some of the players, and even between like some of the players and coaches. I wouldn't use the words mental breakdown. I mean, I think anytime you're like in a losing environment and there isn't a ton of like structure from the top and everything, and things are kind of like crumbling, yeah, you're gonna have like some player conflict, some player coaches conflict, and people may not have like the best attitudes like moving forward. But I wouldn't say that situation was anything like over the top. It felt very like a lot of things that happened. A lot of people's mentalities for it felt pretty maybe not like justified, but understandable. So maybe a little sensationalized, but I understand why people were like, caught it in run, especially with like the public's interpretation of Febivin and also like myself. I think it's really easy to like jump on that bandwagon and kind of just like get on the hate train, right? But yeah, I mean, he said what he said, so we talked about it, and I mean, it's clear to me that he didn't like mean it to come off as the way that a lot of people are interpreting it.
Yeah. So it wasn't like Febivin in that bear suit, like smashing the keyboard.
Yeah,
and
like
throwing...
there was no like, holy shit, this guy is like beside himself and he can't like play, and he's like I don't know. There was no. I mean, there was no like crazy thing that happened, right? I don't remember a moment that I was like, holy fuck, like this is an insane scenario. Like this person's having a breakdown. It was just like, man, it was just kind of sucked. We were losing. Like people weren't getting along, and there wasn't really much of a solution besides just like playing it out. And I mean, that just kind of sucks sometimes. And yeah, people weren't very happy with what was going on.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, either way, not the most fun environment.
Yeah.
But
it's not very fun to lose. Yeah, it's not very fun to lose, especially when you felt like you were doing well the first split. So. For
sure. Well, thank you for kind of clearing some of that up a little.
Yeah.
Going back to Coach Song, I'm curious. You were talking about. There were a bunch of coaching changes on Clutch. So, something you're familiar with, changing another coach. But what do you feel like you're getting now with, he's a veteran coach. He's been coaching for a while and has coached really good teams. Mm-hmm. What are kind of like a couple specific things that you feel like you're learning now that you wouldn't have learned otherwise?
I think Coach Song, just does a lot of things just right, because he's kind of an older guy now. Not to say he's older. I guess I'll take that back. He's not an older guy, but he's certainly a lot more experienced than a lot of the people who have started coaching or in the league. And I think Song like is very smart about how he does like review, how he does like talking to players, how he does it like pick band even in practice. Just making sure that like everything he does has a purpose, and everything we talk about has like a purpose as well. And it doesn't feel like you're ever getting your time wasted or you're ever just like playing to play. I think a lot of coaches just kind of don't have a super clear idea of what they want to do with practice, and they end up just kind of going day to day, just throwing stuff at a wall and hoping something sticks. Where Song and Tyler as well, our assistant coach, they really know like what they want to improve on that week, and they know what they want to like push their players to be good at, and they know when it's working and time to change, or they know when it's working and to keep going, or they know when it's not working and to change. And I just feel really confident in how we do practice.
Nice. That's good to hear. Yeah. So we're only at the beginning of the season. We'll get to see you guys develop.
Yeah.
Any kind of last thoughts beforehand? I mean, going forward, season goals, personal goals, anything else?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to make playoffs. I don't really care so much about, like, obviously I want to have good personal performances, but I mean, like, I don't care if people rate me low as long as, like, we get to playoffs and we do well. Like, getting team wins has always been the most important thing for me.
Awesome. Where would you rank yourself?
Number one, of course.
Number one. All right. There we go. Going to come back and beat TSM next time because Echo Fox is number one. Thank you so much for the interview. I appreciate it. And thank you all for watching. We'll catch you next time.
We'd especially like to thank Krzysztof Buchnowicz, Etienne, Thomas Göttel, Dominik Bolze, Lazy Raven, Erich Althaus, and Macic for your support, and of course all the other people whose names you see scrolling past you on the screen right now. Without you, our work wouldn't be possible. Thank you.